Chapter 1. Reincarnated into the villain's greenhouse. A heavy, suffocating scent of polished mahogany and crushed velvet filled the air. Aster opened his eyes, only to be greeted by an unfamiliar, extravagant canopy ceiling adorned with gilded leaf patterns. A sharp, pounding headache rushed through his mind. Images that were not his own flooded his consciousness in rapid succession. Just moments ago, he had been sitting in his sterile laboratory, analyzing plant tissue cultures under a fluorescent microscope. Now, he was trapped in a body that felt altogether delicate, smaller, and vastly different. He raised a hand to steady himself. Thin, pale fingers met his vision, along with silver-white hair spilling across his shoulders. The memories settled like heavy sediment. This was not his world, and this was not his body. He had reincarnated into the tragic, minor antagonist of a fantasy web novel he had read long ago. He was now Aster Verdantis. He was the pathetic, desperate younger son of the infamous House Verdantis. In the original story, Aster spent his life begging for the approval of his terrifyingly cold family. He had foolishly tried to assist his ruthless older brother in a plot to sabotage the royal garden, hoping to gain a shred of respect. But when the crown prince and the legendary botanists restored the kingdom's sacred flora, Aster was abandoned, used as a scapegoat, and executed without a second thought. A faint shudder ran down his spine. No way was he going to follow that bloody script. He had zero interest in noble squabbles, power plays, or dying for a family of sociopaths. In his past life as a plant biotechnologist, he had loved nothing more than quiet research, nature, and simple living. If this family expected him to join their dark ambitions, they were mistaken. He stared down at his slender hands and made a firm decision. If they believed he was completely useless, devoid of any affinity for botany, and utterly devoid of talent, they would dismiss him entirely. Pity and disappointment would be his shield. The moment they labeled him a hopeless failure, he could slip away quietly, leave the capital behind, and finally live a peaceful life on his own terms. The glass conservatory stretched high overhead. Sunlight filtered through the intricate iron beams, illuminating rows of vibrant, exotic flora, but near the center, standing over a withered, yellowing fern, the atmosphere was suffocatingly cold. Heavy mahogany doors clicked open, echoing softly off the glass walls. Atropa Verdantis stepped forward, her silk gown gliding noiselessly over the stone floor. Her drop-dead gorgeous features carried an effortless grace, yet her sweet, soft-spoken smile felt utterly razor-sharp. Right beside her stood Oleander Verdantis. Tall, poised, with cold green eyes that swept across the room as if inspecting cheap tools. Atropa folded her hands neatly, her voice smooth like warm honey. "So, my dear Aster, how is your plant affinity testing coming along? We have high hopes for your contribution to the family's grand endeavor." Aster shrank back slightly, letting his silver-white hair fall over his eyes. He widened his green eyes, painting a look of pure, panicked incompetence onto his face. "Oh, Mother, I was just trying to help it grow. I gave it some water, but..." Oleander strolled closer, his heavy footsteps slow and deliberate. He paused beside the drooping fern, inspecting a dry, brittle frond. He ran a pale finger down the brown leaf, leaning in with a quiet, terrifying calm. With a faint, chilling snap, he crushed the fragile leaf into dust between his fingers, letting the fragments fall to the stone. "You see, little brother," Oleander whispered, his cold green eyes locking onto Aster. "When a root begins to rot, you don't save it. You crush it so it doesn't spoil the soil for the rest of us. Make sure you aren't the rotting root in our family's ambition." Aster squeezed his eyes shut, letting out a pitifully anxious squeak. He clumsily reached for a heavy clay pot nearby, trembling violently on purpose. "Oops, oh no," he gasped, letting the pot slip right out of his hands. The clay shattered against the marble floor with a loud crash, spilling dark soil everywhere. Aster recoiled, flapping his hands frantically and wiping them against his fine silk shirt in absolute horror. "You? Dirt. Dirt got on my clothes. It's everywhere. I am so sorry. I just wanted to pour more water into it. Maybe if I drown it in water, the roots will feel better." He hastily grabbed a heavy brass watering pitcher and dumped a massive, overflowing wave of water directly into a nearby healthy plant, overflowing the rim and flooding the floor in a muddy mess. Atropa brought a delicate hand to her forehead, letting out a long, disappointed sigh. She adjusted her lace sleeves, her sweet smile utterly fading into cold disdain. Completely hopeless. You cannot even hold a simple pitcher without destroying the conservatory. Oleander looked down at the muddy disaster, disgust flickering across his features before he completely lost all interest. He dusted the crushed leaf off his hand with a handkerchief, turning his back on Aster without another word. A complete waste of time. "Come, mother. We have actual matters of power to handle." As their footsteps faded out of the conservatory, Aster slowly knelt down, pretending to snivel. But beneath his downturned face, a small, triumphant smile broke through. They thought he was a hopeless fool, and that was the greatest freedom he could have asked for. Late into the night, the grand Verdantis estate fell into a deep, heavy silence. Aster stood in his darkened bedchamber, packing the bare essentials into a simple canvas satchel. A small pouch of gold coins, a sturdy set of traveling clothes, and his most prized possession, a hidden leather journal filled with his personal biotechnology notes and plant research. He paused, stepping toward the high-arched window, looking across the estate grounds. His eyes drifted toward the dark silhouette of the neighboring Valurian territory. A sudden, faint memory from the original novel surfaced in his mind. Years ago, on a bright afternoon, a teenage Azalea Valurian had been experimenting with magic fertilizers in her family's glasshouse. She had gotten entirely too excited, overnourishing a cluster of rare magic lilies until the pressurized manna caused the entire greenhouse to explode into a shower of harmless, glowing petals. Right behind her, a young lily bloom had been running frantically, screaming at the top of her lungs with a butterfly net, trying to catch the floating debris while shouting for her energetic mistress to stop. Aster chuckled softly under his breath, shaking his head. Those two certainly brought endless chaos wherever they went. He wondered what kind of wild botanical disasters they were cooking up these days. Shaking off the nostalgia, Aster pulled his dark traveling cloak around his shoulders. He slipped out through the side servant entrance, his light steps making no sound against the cobblestone path. Passing beneath the shadowy iron gates, he stepped out onto the open dirt road, leaving the cold, dangerous web of House Verdantis behind for good. The cool midnight air washed over him as he walked down the quiet, moonlit dirt road. Far away from the suffocating estate, the world felt vast and peacefully still. To ground himself and calm the lingering adrenaline in his chest, Aster looked down at the wild plants lining the edges of the path. He picked up a small, fallen wild sprout, inspecting it under the soft light of the stars. "Let's review the basics," Aster whispered to himself, a faint, comforted smile touching his lips. Every plant relies on three fundamental structural pillars to survive: the roots, the stem, and the leaves. First, the roots. They serve as the plant's anchor, securing it tightly into the soil while acting as its primary intake system. Deep below the surface, tiny root hairs absorb water and essential dissolved minerals from the earth, pumping vital moisture upward. Second, the stem. This is the structural highway. It holds the plant upright, reaching toward the sky to gather light, while internal transport vessels move nutrients and water back and forth between the roots and the rest of the organism. And third, the leaves. the plant's very own natural solar panels. Packed with green chlorophyll, they absorb light energy, driving the ultimate miracle of nature. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process where a plant takes water from its roots, carbon dioxide from the air, and energy from sunlight, converting them into glucose for food and releasing fresh oxygen into the air. He gently touched the leafy margin of a wild herb by the road. For any plant to thrive, understanding its light requirements is critical. Full sun plants require at least 6 hours of direct, unshaded sunlight every day. They need intense energy to produce heavy fruits, vegetables, or bold blooms. Partial sun or shade plants need roughly 3 to 6 hours of direct light. They prefer gentler morning sun while seeking protection from the harsh afternoon heat, which makes this perfect for leafy herbs and delicate perennials. Then, there is full shade or indirect light. These plants thrive in bright environments without ever letting direct sunlight touch their delicate foliage, just like the ferns that grow beneath the dense canopy of an ancient forest. Aster tossed the tiny sprout gently into the soft grass beside him and took a deep, refreshing breath of the night air. No political plots. Nobody knows this. Just me, the open road, and a peaceful garden of my own.
In the next chapter, beyond the noble gates lies a world of withered soil and hidden potential. A chance encounter with a bright-eyed boy in a dying field will spark a journey of healing, where the humblest patch of earth holds the power to rewrite fate itself. Don't miss Chapter 2. The Dirt Road to Freedom.